experts. Riverside, get your free inspection today. Learn more at groundworks.com.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
KVLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth. Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God!
But here we are, still standing.
Yo, what up? What up? What up? What up? What is going on? Everybody hit that like button. Let's get those likes up.
Flaw finding versus red flags from a dismissive, avoidant perspective. Family, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I'm Eleanor and this is Dismissible Me, where I speak only about dismissive, avoidant attachment from the perspective of someone who's had a dismissive, avoidant attachment style. Please find me on Instagram, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know where you're watching from and drop your attachment style down below. All of my information is down in the description box. And family, getting right into today's video again, flaw finding versus red flags from a dismissive, avoidant perspective. Flaw finding. Definitions. magnifying typically small issues or flaws in someone else to create emotional distance or to justify a withdrawal or ending of a relationship. Red flags, the big ones. Warning signs or indicators of potential problems, toxicity, or unhealthy behavior in a person, relationship, or situation. Also, a signal to pay closer attention or caution regarding a person, place, or situation. There is a major difference for me, even as someone with an insecure attachment style, from flaw finding and red flags. Flaw finding, I know, and I'm conscious of when I'm doing it, these are little minor things that I'm racking up to make a bigger thing. You know, one or two things is minor, but if I'm uncomfortable and, you know, now I got 30, 50, 100 things that I don't like about you or that I flaw found, then it becomes a major issue. But red flags, to simplify it, these are character flaws. I don't confuse flaw finding and red flags. If I dropped you abruptly, I dropped you abruptly because of red flags. If I broke up with you, I dropped you for flaw finding or other things. Like if finding flaws or issues was the reason for the breakup, red flags, abrupt endings, I can say that I can look back and always, boom, get out of there. I don't need to give you any warning. You didn't tell me you were crazy. Flaw finding, conversation, breakup. Let's have a final sit down.
Hey, nah. Sounds like over intellectualizing your wrongdoing. That's what it sounds like to me. Even the terminology. If I dropped you, my God. Dropping somebody? Sheesh. It's the shadow of discard. It's what narcissists do. It just sounds so toxic to me. Okay. Let me pull it together. Hey, the VOR back in the building, the voice of reason. Getting ready to start another powerful dialogue tonight. And this one is somewhat of an extension of yesterday's. Of course, we talked about these types of people who have insecure attachment styles, who are not individuated, sitting in the pulpit. But now, we're going to take this a little closer to home. The person you chose. Right? The person you chose. Have you ever dated somebody who thought they were smarter than you? Have you ever dated someone who thought they were more accomplished than you, and thus, if being more accomplished than you, felt like their word for your life superseded your own? Yikes. Tonight's topic, another slapper, the shrouded shamer. Now, this is different from the overt shamer, the grandiose, if you will, shamer. This is the shrouded shamer, an intensive look at shame disguised as wisdom. These people are talking to you as if they have your best interests, but in the meantime, you get backhanded compliments. You get a lot of inappropriate statements under the guise of I'm trying to help you. Have you ever dated that person? Are you that person? Not all wisdom is wise. Sometimes it's just shame in disguise. Coated in cognitive compassion, couched in lofty language, and weaponized through whispered correction. Listen, you got to follow what I'm trying to tell you. You got to get down with what I'm trying to lay down, because you out of bounds, you out of pocket. You don't really know what's good for you. If you would listen to me. The shrouded shamer, i.e. the covert blamer, isn't loud. They're strategically cunning and subtle. They don't dominate with force. They dominate with conditional help. 1-800-920-1580. Conditional advice, conditional wisdom. Come on now. I don't know who I'm talking to tonight. Their pseudo advice temporarily soothes while it slices and humiliates. Their fraudulent guidance uplifts the moment while it covertly diminishes the insides of their victims. They are slight collectors. That is Dr. David R. Hawking's term. They are collecting slights, perceived slights coming from you, right? They are collecting them so that they can turn them against you later. And all of this is for control, right? They are slight collectors, feeding off the light of those that are too kind, too empathetic, or too traumatically bound to see their trap. Their humility is masterfully rehearsed. Yes, they are performative actors. I call them relationship thespians. Their care is based on conditional control. And their truth is trauma, dressed in artificial, wise, empathetic language. This isn't healing, it's supply harvesting. But to name the shamer is to reclaim yourself. To elevate claim over blame is to end the psychic theft. True wisdom never humiliates, it liberates. And real light doesn't steal, it only shines. Let's go deeper. Let me go back. But to name the shamer is to reclaim the self. To elevate claim over blame is to end the psychic theft. What do you mean by that, Zoe? Claim over blame. Oftentimes, in order to be an authentic victim, listen to what I'm about to say. I'm not saying people out there haven't been victimized by other people. But if you allow the event to merge into your identity, your sense of self, then your ego will protect the victim in you as a part of itself, which means it will never want to let the victimhood mentality go. This is why the ancients always believed in ego annihilation. What happened to you isn't you. It's something that happened to you. But because it happened to you, you run the risk of that event merging itself into your identity. This is why my good friend Dr. Alan Berger said we are all victims of victims. Do you see? Now, someone who hasn't healed from any of the things that they've been through, being a victim now becomes a tool, an extension of their manipulation of others. This is how victims transform into villains. Do you understand? Wisdom or wounding. How covert shame, not overt shame, the backhanded compliment, the slight, right? The cleverly couched slight to put you down, right? To put you in check, to knock you down a peg. Oh, your mother should have whooped you more, right? Listen, you're too chaotic for me. Your childhood, your upbringing was too much, and that makes you too much. How covert shame masquerades as spiritual guidance. I was raised the right way. I had two parents. They looked after me. Are you listening? Covert shamers exploit emotional intelligence as a form of control. Right? This is mirroring Ross Rosenberg's SLDD theory, which is self-love deficient disorder. in which self-love deficient individuals attract manipulative mentors. Have you dated one? Are you one dating someone else, and are you manipulating them with these tactics? False wisdom lacks Socratic humility and instead cloaks projection in moral superiority. Knowing without being. Do you understand? What are we talking about tonight? So, very powerful. The shrouded shamer, the covert shamer, somebody who will take an opportunity at any time it presents itself to put you down, the put down, the shut down, the marginalization, the minimization, right? The shrouded shamer, an intensive look at shame disguised as wise help, wise assistance. Don't act like you haven't ran into a person like that. According to Dr. David R. Hawkins, shame vibrates at the lowest frequency. Wisdom, born of shame, is contaminated light, not divine truth. For the past few weeks, we've been on an individuation march. Individuate. I said 3 weeks ago, I told you guys, you're not married to a person. You're married on paper. You're not married to that person until you marry yourself. The real consummation, the real matrimony is when one marries their shadow, integrates their shadow into their mask. I said, that's the first marriage. If that hasn't happened, or if you're not in the process of doing that, manipulation is afoot. This is where the negotiations come in, right? Well, if I get with you, I got to make sure, I have to assure that I get this. Well, if I'm going to give you that, I got to make sure that I get this. People don't even know how to love. People don't know how to resonate with one another. Sheesh. I know it hurts. Backhanded spiritual critiques activate the nervous system's threat response, correlating with PTSD and complex trauma, CPTSD. Backhanded spiritual critiques put you in survival mode. You let God down. If you were serious about your work, listen, you're letting yourself down. You're not serious. The slight collector, how covert shamers harvest light instead of cultivating it. Man, when I tell you we're about to cook, when I tell you we are about to act a fool, you know you've dated this person. You know you could be this person. If your pastor is this person, you might be attracted to him because you guys are the same. When we come forward, more from the voice of reason. Machiavelli. You said, what book am I reading? These are my show questions. What up, everybody? Please hit the like button. Please. Can I get everybody to hit the like button? Likes are free. Please support. No, that's just the show script of questions. Man, I've been hanging out. I got a chance to train my granddaughter today in hoops, basketball. She got a game coming. I'm just excited. She's a little junior clipper. So Pop came to train her. It's good stuff. Everybody hit that like button. 7 more people. Nuri Hoops. Oh, and she was shooting. I said, okay. I noticed that. We need 5 more people to hit the like button. The content space needs you. What do you mean? Mr. No Days Off 870, please expound. I would love to hear your thoughts. Because I'm old, or I'm older. So in my thought process, isn't this the content space? Please define what the content space is so I can have a better understanding of what you're saying. JJ, what up? Zoni, different perspective too. What do you mean, True? Explain to me. I'm trying to follow what everybody's saying. You know, I don't be understanding fully. I'm thinking about doing something similar. Us old heads have a lot of life experience. Amber A. Law. Okay? Here we go.
Overall, it's only 2 types of women that benefit from dealing with a man. The first woman is a broke woman, a woman that is in poverty. Those are always going to be women that are going to benefit from men because obviously they have a second income that they will be able to piggyback on. The second type of woman that benefits from a man is a woman with a very low self-esteem. And this is always going to be the archetype of the pygmishas, you know, of the women who really want male validation, of the women who are marrying for love. And so their loyalty comes from a place of lack. It comes from a place that they do not possess within. Because women that are not broke and women that have a high self-esteem have something to protect. They have their finances to protect, and they have their core identity to protect, being based around the fact that they have a high self-esteem to walk away from situations that do not serve them. Them walking away at the first sign of disrespect. This is why men actually do prefer broke women. They want broke women. This is why they want young women. They want a woman fresh out of high school because she lived with her parents. If you're a man that lives in a 3-bedroom apartment and is shared between 2 roommates, that is going to impress a girl outside of high school because she's like, shit, at least I'm not under the same roof as my parents. So that will be impressive to her. When women are in a state of lack.
What in the entire Sam hell is going on? It's crazy, It's crazy to me, anyway. What? But it also illustrates that there is a thought process out there that operates in alignment with what I'm talking about here tonight. The manipulation has run rampant. And I don't like the isolationalist mentality where if you're doing better, if you're doing good, and I'm talking about black folk, black men are doing well, black women are doing well. Well, they act as if those people don't exist. No, they represent us too. What are we going to do? Are we going to continue to play this relationship game the way she outlined? We have an isolationist mentality. I'm doing good. My friends are good. We're all doing well. We're elevated. While the rest of the world is manipulating each other into deeper cycles of trauma. It's heavy stuff. Pseudo humility, trying to help somebody. I'm trying to give you good game. I'm trying to teach you. You know, what you're trying to do is tell me that you know more about my process than I do. Pseudo humility is a recognized defense mechanism to preempt accountability. Right? It often coincides with complex trauma patterns, epigenetic shame, and inherited spiritual gaslighting in woke families. You come from a family who think they better than everybody, so they think they got a word for everybody. Don't you know your word fits your generational line, your generational trauma, your generational curriculum? Not every word is for every generation. The people you trying to uplift have their own generational language that they must discover and or develop or copy edit. Sometimes, you understand what I'm saying? I know people. Children of covert shamers internalize contradiction, where love is equated with correction, not connection. When I come forward, if you think I just started, you're absolutely wrong. What up, y'all? Can I get everybody to hit the like button? Share, 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 like, share, like. It's 37 people. And who's calling in? What are those, peppers? Man, you out here wilding with the videos, to be honest. Yeah, them videos be catching me slipping. I ain't even gonna lie. So what I gotta do? What I gotta do? What I gotta do? Do I gotta throw like a party in y'all city? I gotta come down and we go to some restaurant and we all hang out and chill and build. What I gotta do to incentivize y'all to come in? Do I gotta to call in? Do I gotta what I gotta do? I gotta go to Pensacola. I'll go to Pensacola. How close is it Orlando? Is there a city called Hampstead in Florida? Am I right or wrong about that? Because if I go to Florida, I gotta go to the city where the Coral Castle is. That was put together by Edward Leeds Scallion. I gotta go there. Everybody hit that like button, please. Everybody hit that like button. So what? Did I Homestead? That's right. Yep. Doing it big out here and staying true to your business. Peace. Hey, thank you, Travis. No, somebody in the chat was suggesting that I do a podcast, and I was like, this is a podcast. This is just the behind the scenes, right? But this podcast has 600 episodes. It's on every DSP in the world. It's terrestrial radio, and it's in the top 2% of all podcasts globally. All you got to do is type in listen notes, voice of reason, Zoe Williams, voice of reason. It'll pop up. It'll tell you this podcast is in the top 2% of the most popular podcasts in the world. And that's out of 3.4, 3.5 million podcasts. I'm in the top 2%. But I understand that, you know, for some people, they get the majority of their content from YouTube. So if you're shadow banned on YouTube and people can't find you anymore and they can't hear your content anymore, they seem to think that it ain't popping. But do you know how difficult it is to get out of 3.5 million podcasts worldwide? This show right here, The Voice of Reason, is in the top 2% in the world in terms of popularity. Now, that's based on first, second, and third party data that explains that. It's not a game.
though your avoidant partner is projecting their issues onto you, well, it's time to unpack that. Now, most people would agree that avoidant partners typically respond defensively in emotionally charged situations. When projection is the primary defense they're using, it can look like blaming their partner for their own insecurities, accusing a partner of harboring feelings or behaviors that they themselves are expressing, or interpreting their partner's actions through a lens of their own unresolved issues. When this happens, people might assume that their partner is trying to criticize, gaslight, or control them. But the reality is avoidant partners are actually quite emotionally fragile and vulnerable. Think of it like a game of hot potato. We all have flaws and shortcomings, which is like holding a hot potato, and that burns. So to find relief, we unconsciously toss the potato to someone else and claim that it was theirs all along. That way, hopefully, they won't toss it back, and we don't have to feel the discomfort anymore. But of course, this doesn't really work, because unless we learn to love and accept our flaws and all, projecting them onto others is only going to push people away, and you'll never quite feel whole or deeply connected to someone else. The good news is, when we learn to love and accept the worst version of ourselves, that's when true healing happens, and we finally make space for the best version to just show up. This is when relationships can radically transform from full of conflict and push-pull dynamics into stable, loving, and reciprocal relationships. But in order to do this, we need to be able to recognize the role that projection plays in insecure relationships so we can find out the underlying unmet emotional needs that require acknowledgement. So in this segment, we're going to tackle this topic by looking at a definition for psychological projection and how it functions. We're also going to look at 3 different examples of projection, including villainizing, catastrophizing, and emotional reasoning. This utilizes projected interjects and black and white thinking. Finally, I'm going to walk you through my 3-step framework for healing detrimental defense coping mechanisms like projection, which structures the curriculum for my popular Attachment 101 courses. Once you crack the code on this, if you are the avoidant partner, you will be able to stop projecting onto your loved ones and start loving and accepting your own inner child, so you can go from feeling misunderstood and disconnected to feeling seen and accepted for who you are, knowing that you can cultivate a loving and stable relationship, all without constant conflict and emotional turmoil. On the other hand, if you have an avoidant partner, you will be able to recognize the signs of projection and respond with setting healthy and loving boundaries without feeling guilty. This will foster open communication and support your partner in acknowledging and addressing their underlying fears and insecurities, leading to a more harmonious and secure relationship. But you don't have to take my word for it. When Ava came to...
Man, she's cooking. Who is that young lady? Andy? Listen, I'm hearing this when you hear it. That's why I love the video clips. I'm hearing it when you hear it. Let me give you a little bit of advice. Sure, we can encourage each other. We can even offer suggestions to each other regarding our work. When I say our work, I mean the internal work. Okay, there's 2 types of work in relationship. There's the social work, the work of maintaining the relationship in terms of, do you have enough money to take me to dinner? A nice dinner. Do you have a car? Is your car insured? Does it have gas, right? There's the social piece, right? But then there's the psychological piece. The social piece requires cooperation, right? The psychological piece requires presence. You have to be present, is what I'm saying, in that companionship, right? You have to be present, right? And oftentimes, the person who hasn't healed or gotten on their journey of individuation, right, will try to, through the guise of this wounded sage, I know I've been through this before, and try to give you advice while at the same time minimizing, marginalizing you and your experience, all in an attempt to control you through wise words or wise sounding words. The wounded sage archetype how shame-powered mentorship breeds dependence. See, this is why they're trying to get control, because ultimately they want you to depend on them psychologically. Do you see? Trauma survivors may associate critique with care, forming trauma bonds under the guise of guidance. Do you see? As Eric Fromm stated, authoritarian mentors create dependence to feed their unhealed voids. Do you see? Enlightenment is the end of dependence. Listen to what I'm saying here. Enlightenment is the end of dependence, not its beginning. False sages invert the initiatory journey. Now, listen. Enlightenment. Enlightenment is the same as individuation. Enlightenment is the same as self-realization, self-actualization. These are clinical terms for a spiritual happening. Listen to it again. Enlightenment is the end of dependence, not its beginning. Right? See, we get into relationships because spiritually we need something. We need to feel completed. We need to feel a part of. Right? I was explaining this on a previous show when we were talking about expectations and needs. It all will go away. You won't need your partner to fulfill anything within you psychologically. Right? Talking to a young man the other night. Man, is it wrong to want my woman to finish the work? Or I'm framing it for him. But what he said was, is it wrong for me to want my woman to do exactly what my mom did for me? My mom always cooked me breakfast. My mom always whop, whoop, whop. I said, who are you dating? Your mother? Or an entirely different being, sir? Do you see? And so, again, if we don't individuate, if we don't try to heal, what tends to happen is, especially if we're successful in the world, we will leverage that success. We will frame that success as a moral authority in the lives of the people we're trying to relate to. Does that make sense? Do you see where we're going here? Projection as protection. Why shamers see your mirror as their mask. Projection externalizes disowned traits. Covert shamers project shame to avoid internal collapse. It's you that's the problem. Ooh, I know y'all not ready. We got callers on the line. Listen, I'm going to come forward. But when I come full circle, I'm going straight to the phone lines. Who wants to talk?
Need some straight talk? This is where you get the unfiltered truth about love, relationships, and
Did you tell him?
between. He breaks down relationship dynamics with no-nonsense wisdom and practical advice that actually works. Tackling the questions you're afraid to ask and giving you the answers you need to hear. You're inside the voice of reason with Phil Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
So people aren't anxious. So he's coming from that angle. And I'm just like,
Hey, it's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. Are you tired of staying, stealing your shine? California Cleaners is where you go to rescue your wardrobe. They don't just clean, they elevate. Hand washing, crisp laundry, and precise alterations, all while keeping your wallet happy. Listen, all you gotta do is connect with them in the beautiful city of Inglewood. Whether it's grass stains,
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Top 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that...
That shit was banging. I need 2 callers. Can I get 2 more callers? The number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. Yeah, he is cooking. I ain't even gonna lie. I would love for them to call in. Their name is, what is that? E. Caroline? You should call in and share your thoughts. 1-800-920-1580. That's 1-800-920-1580. I would love to hear your thoughts on air. No judgment, no disrespect. You should call in, E. Caroline.
The masks we wear are plentiful, but the truth of one's character is revealed in simplicity. First, observe how they treat those who can do nothing for them, the powerless, the unnoticed, the seemingly unimportant. It is in their actions, not words, that their essence unfolds. Second, watch how they respond in moments of frustration or adversity. Do they lash out, or do they remain steady and kind? A person's true self shines brightest not in comfort, but in conflict.
Ooh.
These 2 moments, a hand offered to be overlooked in grace under pressure, are windows into the soul. For character is not what one pretends to be, but what they are when the world isn't watching.
Man, come on, Alan Watts. Listen. All that hemming and hawing when you should be taking accountability for what you said and what you did. All that moralizing when it really just comes down to, hey, I was wrong. It takes a certain level of vulnerability to be accountable. And the unhealed person has a toolbox full of strategies to confuse, to manipulate, to obfuscate, right? To conceal the truth because they're afraid to be vulnerable. Listen, I got callers on the line, but before I get to them, I have to do this. I got to remind you guys, and this is important. I guess tomorrow is the last day, right? So basically today is the last day to sign up. If you're coming to any of the KBLA Juneteenth events, tomorrow is Juneteenth. Our KBLA 1580 4th anniversary events are fast approaching, like tomorrow. And seating at all 4 of our special events is getting tight. Have you registered at our KBLA1580.com website? If not, let me encourage you to stop and do it right now. Pull out your cell phone, slide over to your computer. Keep listening, but wherever you gotta go to sign up, you gotta do it now so you don't get left out. It's our 4th anniversary, and we want to celebrate it with you, right? If you're planning to join us for our 4th anniversary celebration and barbecue on the Juneteenth holiday, we're asking everyone to bring a food gift card or of any amount for the victims of the Altadena fire, grocery store chain, or restaurants. We're grateful for whatever you can bring to help the families still displaced by the wildfire. So go to our KBLA1580.com website right now and sign up for the events you plan to attend. All of our anniversary events are free, yes indeed, but seating is limited and you must register, like today, right? Tonight, right now. All right, I appreciate you guys for listening to that important PSA. Tomorrow is our 4th year anniversary. It's on Juneteenth. So y'all got to get in where you fit in. All right, we got callers on the line. I want to get their perspectives. Okay, stay on topic and let's cook. My guy, Sean, Oakland, California. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
I want to, communicate to all of our listeners, and you, brother, you do such a good job, is that right now, things are, in chaos. It's not really a really fun time around this country. And if you think it's a fun time, I don't know what you're thinking about. But my thing is, make sure to check in with all the people that you know, or everyone you think might be in crisis or having, their wounds from the past or whatever. Just check in.
Right.
I'm old school, so I say call, but text, an email, do whatever you can do to just make sure they know you know that they may need your help. And that's the biggest thing right now. Because right now, people don't know what to do. Hopefully you're all in the, situation and understanding the crisis. But if they're not, the main thing is they may be in their crisis of their own. So make sure to check in and say, hey, I got your back, anything you need. And if things aren't going well, I can do everything in my power to help you out.
I love that, man. That's good advice. You can apply that in any scenario, bruh. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Guess what you just did? Town business, Oaktown in the house. If you want to bring your city into this national discussion, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. We got more callers on the line. I want to get them in. If I'm not mistaken, we got South Central LA in the building. That's JW. JW from South Central LA. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic? I'm good. I'm alive and well, brother. Go ahead.
And the right reason, because they have hidden women and wrong intentions and victim motives. And when you was talking about how people manipulate and use folks, I think about folks who sucker coming every day or running thinking, oh, I got a free lunch today. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Or Charlie was just saying, you can move with their hands down if you get about, the message of the lyrics because of her beauty. And I think about this people manipulating and being selfish and immature because you made a reference to that they don't get their way, watch their act. No, the person is in the instructors that you play that he said, pay attention to their behavior when they don't get their way, how they act, and that exposes them. And I thought about like a selfish little infant or a child or a baby that is going to have it their way, it's immature. But it's more complicated now because the person's older and they do have hidden agendas. But still on them, like a maturity in my point of view.
My brother, stay right there. No, stay right there, cause you doing okay. Stay right there, J-Dub. Don't go nowhere. When we come forward, we gonna get a second scoop, a second dose of JW from South Central Los Angeles. All right, can I get two more callers? Two more callers to call in. Yes. I'm gonna be here tomorrow night on Juneteenth. I'm definitely gonna be here tomorrow night. For gems. Yes. The world should hear the power of the gems. No, I'm...
Financial infidelity. I'm dating a bad person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this is gonna be crazy.
How about the child wasn't his, and he still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I was like, this gonna be a war there?
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed. Hit you with a bad vibes routine. How does he maintain his humosity?
He likes it when it pinches the nip.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you write William so well?
So William, reason and accountability. The voice of reason.
Have you ever found yourself believing that you know what someone's thinking only to later realize that what you assume they were thinking is really what you're thinking. This kind of mind reading is a psychological defense mechanism called projection.
Wait. Bring Dr. Tracy back. Is that Dr. Tracy? Come, bring Dr. Tracy back. Hey, she just, that's the topic in a nutshell, man. Hey, listen, man, y'all got to tell the truth. Y'all know y'all be dealing with people that are like this. And you know that you like this. Come, Dr. Tracy, come back in here and tell us the truth.
Have you ever found yourself believing that you know what someone's thinking, only to later realize that what you assume they were thinking is really what you're thinking? This kind of mind reading is a psychological defense mechanism called projection. It's where you unconsciously assign your own unwanted feelings and emotions to someone else. Doing this can have a serious negative impact on your relationships and even how you feel about yourself. That's what I'm talking about today. I'm Dr. Tracy Marks, a psychiatrist, and I make mental health education videos. This is the second video in a series of videos on psychological defense mechanisms. The first video explained defenses and how they relate to coping skills. I'll have that video linked to this one in case you missed it. You can still understand this one if you haven't watched that one. We all use defense mechanisms. They're the mind's way of helping us navigate emotional stress and protect our self-esteem. From rationalization to denial, these mechanisms operate unconsciously, shielding us from feelings and thoughts that we might not be ready to confront. In this context, unconscious means beyond your awareness. Your mind is working behind the scenes, reacting to life on autopilot for you. Although these defense mechanisms can be adaptive and help us cope with life's challenges, they can also interfere with our relationships and personal growth when they're overused or misapplied. Today, we're zeroing in on projection. Projection is where you have feelings that are unacceptable to you, and instead of owning them, you assign them to someone else. And this involves a lot of inaccurate mind reading. Here's an example. Tina has always lived in the shadow of her sister, who was always prettier, smarter, and more successful. Tina married her college sweetheart right after graduation and almost immediately became a stay-at-home wife and mom. Fast forward several years, and one night, she and her husband were watching television, and a story about her sister appeared on the news. Her sister was promoted to CFO of a technology company. Tina's husband says, "Wow, your sister is amazing." Tina feels hurt by his comment and says, "I bet you regret marrying me. I've never been good enough for you." Her husband is not surprised by her comment because she frequently accuses him of having an affair with a better woman. Even though her husband feels she's let herself go since she had the kids, he still loves her. And frankly, he's sick of her accusing him of wanting other women. Now, what's really behind this is Tina is disappointed with where she is in life, and it's affected her self-worth. She loves her kids, but feels like her stay-at-home life has held her back and kept her from becoming the best version of herself. Seeing her sister's accomplishments makes her feel even more insecure. Tina recognizes her insecurity, but what she doesn't recognize on a conscious level is her regret that she married and had children so young. Since her youngest child is 9, she feels trapped for the next 10 years in a life of putting her needs behind the needs of everyone else. Tina projects this unacceptable thought onto her husband by insisting that he's the one who regrets getting married. In reality, it's her own regret. But that regret is too unacceptable for her to consciously admit and say out loud. Tina's thoughts are problematic on a couple of levels. One, she's assigned negative thoughts to her husband that he doesn't have, and because of this, she's built up resentments that he doesn't deserve because they're based on false assumptions. And he's stuck having to deflect her attacks and walk on eggshells, not knowing what's okay to say and what's not. Is she really going to get mad every time he compliments his sister-in-law? The second problem is projection reinforces your own negative thoughts. When you project negative feelings onto others, you set yourself up for needing them to affirm you and build you up. Ooh. So in some sense, you can become emotionally needy because you rely on others to validate you. How do you recognize this in yourself? It's challenging to recognize this given that it's an unconscious process.
Man, Dr. Tracy from the free throw line with a blindfold on, two hand through the leg, East Bay, double pump, reverse. And a lot of people are doing this, right? And then coming from a moral standpoint of they believe their projection is true about you, right? Listen, where there is insecure attachment, where there is a person who hasn't sought to individuate their shadow with their mask, where there is PTSD, where there's childhood, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, with any of that stuff, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get manipulation. Because whatever happened to you, whenever you got wounded, whenever you were traumatized, from that moment on, you were gathering tools, learning how to manipulate others in order to feel safe. And here's the thing, this happens in quote-unquote healthy homes. Well, we had two parents. That doesn't mean they were individuated. That doesn't mean they were perfect. Sometimes we could even argue that if you got one parent that's on the individuation path, it's better than having two parents that aren't. Come on. Come on. Listen, have you ever gotten a compliment for being vulnerable from your partner? You know, I know what you said today was tough to say, but I want to say thank you for saying it. Ooh. See, huh? That's a clear-cut example of what is POTA look like. POTA. That's it, POTA. Just like Barry White sang POTA. That's what a man is supposed to do. That's what it is. This is how it's supposed to look. Right? But oftentimes we'll get the slight collector, the projector, the one that's willing to throw blame, right? The covert shamer, right? Trying to shame you because they are ashamed. Shame. From shame to anger to light. The slight collector and the subtle tyranny of the covert shamer. In the ever-evolving spectrum of human consciousness and relationships, shame lies at the lowest rung, according to Dr. David R. Hawkins and his consciousness grid, his map of consciousness. Shame calibrates at a vibrational frequency of 20, a level so corrosive to the psyche that it is often described as near death for the soul. It is here that one loses a sense of intrinsic worth, collapsing into a posture of concealment. I need you to hear this. Self-loathing and masochism. But rarely does shame remain inert. More often, it transmutes, right? Coagulating into guilt, then apathy, grief, fear, desire, and eventually anger. Yet Hawkins reminds us, progress through these stages is not failure. It's actually upward motion. Anger, though often vilified, is a higher frequency, a higher vibration than shame. According to his books, it's calibrated at 150 and can even become a catalyst for growth. You can get fed up, sick and tired. That's a type of anger. You know what? I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of blaming myself. I'm tired of putting up with this. That's anger, right? Anger offers power. It says I matter. In a way, shame never could. But when anger is not expressed outwardly or healthily, right? When societal or familial or spiritual environments forbid its expression, it often mutates into something more insidious. Covert manipulation disguised as virtue. This is where we encounter the vulnerable or covert shamer, an archetype born from repressed anger, cloaked in humility. I've dated him. Come on now. Come on. I've had moments of this guy. Yeah. I know you have too. Nobody is sitting up here acting perfect. That's what this show is about. It's about exposure. I told you, if you can't be butt naked in your spirit, how's your spirit always clothed? And is it designer clothing you put on your spirit? Huh? Huh? I keep telling you, relationship is designed to strip you nude. When you walk into a relationship, if you want it to be healthy, you must be at your most nude. You see? The unhealed person, the person who doesn't want to go on that journey, the person who doesn't want to look at themselves, the person who doesn't want to take responsibility for their projections, may have the propensity to become a vulnerable or covert shamer. Right? What Hawkins referred to as light in terms of high vibrational energy is in the hands of the covert shamer, not collected in service to consciousness, but harvested from others. Listen to what Dr. Hawkins is saying. He said, this unhealed person is there to harvest your light. I want that to resonate for a second. They're there to control you because they're afraid to embrace themselves. They don't know how. And if they did, they refuse to because that would mean egoic annihilation. And in egoic annihilation, I'm not me anymore. That's the last thing the ego wants to do. This is why I encourage people never to embrace the victim role. Yes, somebody did something to you, but whatever they did is not you. And that's the real fight. Do you understand? Here, in Dr. David R. Hawkins' work, emerges the slight collector archetype. A being who, rather than cultivating their own light, feeds off of the radiance, esteem, or spiritual vitality of others. The slight collector isn't interested in evolution, but in accumulation of emotional leverage, of moral clout, of subtle superiority. And they come into your life and try to check you, try to put you down so you can become codependent on them. Man, they are vampiric, and the blood they choose to siphon is self-love. Unlike the overt narcissist who asserts, you owe me because I'm better than you. The covert shamer whispers, you owe me because I'm suffering and I'm wise because of that suffering. Their wound becomes their crown. Their fragility becomes their fortress, often masked as the sage, mentor, empath, or spiritual healer. I've met people who have sworn up and down that they are good people, that they are spiritual people, that they are spiritually gifted, and still discard people like narcissists. Still avoidant. Yeah, you could be, the two things could exist at the same time. Sure. But how you got a gift from God to help others and you won't individuate so you can use it properly to elevate, man, what we on? They use shame not as a confession of vulnerability, but as an unspoken currency of control. As David R. Hawkins warned, when energy is blocked below the level of courage, which he calibrates at 200, it seeks dominance through distortion, projection. The covert shamer, the slight collector, thrives in relational dynamics where boundaries are porous and empathy is over functioning. Man, when I come forward, the voice of reason, I'm going back to my homeboy from South Central Los Angeles. We got a lot to talk about. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm laying down. I hope so. Janavia Powell. I hope I said your name right. We can stop promoting the Cash App or the Super Chat. We're 90 minutes into the show. Ain't nobody supporting today. And it's okay. It's all right. I understand. But I would love for people to call in. I would love it if you call in. Let's have a conversation. And you know, the show, we're 90 minutes in. That was fast. I love it. Oh, no question. Yeah. Every 30 days. Chief Cola. How do you say your name, Chief? Andy be eating, boy. Eating well.
you're going to get dirty. And besides, the pig likes it. Any other covert narcissist or sociopath, they survive by pretending to be nice and likable. And they manipulate that into a job, into a personality type that makes people like them. And if you should try to take that away from them, they will do anything they can to hurt you. The worst thing you can do is fight, because the fighting itself will destroy you. To have any type of interaction with them or to be induced in a conversation gives them the wherewithal and the ability to hurt you and to punish you.
Man, that was the legendary Dr. Ross Rossenberg, author of The Human Magnet Syndrome. Ross Rossenberg does not play any reindeer games. Let me get back to my phone lines. Of course, you're listening to the Voice of Reason live on KBLA Talk 1580. Who is the Voice of Reason? Well, moi. Zoe Williams, the VOR. We're live in the heart of Leimert Park. I want to get my brother J.W., who's calling in from South Central Los Angeles. J-Dub, what are your thoughts, man? Give me your final thoughts, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is our last clip you played, man, when we think about Donald Trump. But anyway, we're going to move forward. Like you mentioned once before, how I always expose myself. Back to my wife, I can recall some time when he had mentioned to me, oh, we think you know everything. And I want you right now, in real time, I will tell her, I don't think I'm right. I'm sharing something, or my point of view is something that I would believe, and you should believe, and I believe if you ask any stranger, that everybody would think it's correct because it's morally correct, or like the golden rule, or logic, because I'm a critical thinker. It ain't just my personal opinion or my imagination, or me scheming, or me trying to control. I'm just making a point that I believe it's validated.
But let me ask you, J-Dub. Let me ask you.
Talk to me.
Come on, Jay. This is a real space right here. Come on, man. Let me ask you. Listen, if you're being honest, have you ever tried to manipulate your wife?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
Yes, when I was a teenager and other people, yes, I would take other people who I see if they're lovable or whatever. Yes, I have been at that state of mind with other people, but it's a rare occurrence because I didn't get no pleasure out of it, and I was out of character. It wasn't my nature. But yes, I am a person that is dysfunctional just like any other human being. That's why I always say I'm blessed and highly favored in spite of myself, because I'm flawed.
Man, I appreciate you for being so transparent and vulnerable. It's hard for people to own up. I've tried to manipulate people before, and it's always coming from a hurt place. It's always coming from a wounded place. Now, my question is, my path is a little different than yours, but how did you emotionally grow up to the point where you realize, hey, man, I can't do this to people. This is wrong, right? This is hurting people, right? When did you come to that realization?
Okay, I came to that realization over a period of time after maybe several times throughout my life where I felt contrary or indifference, or like I stated, I was out of character.
Wait, stay right there. Don't go nowhere. I want you to refine your thought. I'm going to give you a little time to think on it. When we come forward, we're finally going to get the final word from my brother JW from South Central. Hey, Andy, can we get the Robert Glasper version of that song when we come back? It's the same title, but it's by Robert Glasper. Hey, all these videos, Attila. I didn't listen to that's my new thing. I don't listen to the videos that Attila sends me. This is Attila's playlist. Attila was like, hey, can we get a playlist? And I said, well, yeah. What kind of playlist? Listen, man, I usually avoid Janae Aiko's work, even though I do like that The Worst song, right? My daughter is hip to Janae. I'm not saying she's a bad artist. I'm in no way, shape, or form. She's very talented. Some would even say she's incredible. But yeah, I'm just not into her whole discography like that. I said, yo, okay, send a playlist. Attila was like, they go to playlist right there. I love it. I love it. And it's actually a vibe tonight. And let me personally thank our good sister, Janavia Powell. Thank you. You are our one and only super chat in 90 minutes. But I'm thankful. I appreciate it. And everybody should at least like it. If we're not going to support the channel or the show, let's support Janavia. Right? Hit that like button. I think that will be cool. Who lives at the library? The videos are really good. That Dr. Tracy video was crazy. She summarized the whole cook up, right? Right? But when you start listening to some of the craziness in the videos, you see the toxicity that is pervasive. And you have people who are very judgmental who feel like, I'm not like that. I'm not toxic like that. Let me tell you something. Classic toxic, or let me say, classy toxicity is still toxicity. So many people think because they present as refined or high cotton or classy that they're somehow not toxic. Well, think about the founding fathers of our country. They believed to be refined and classy and high class and lords, right? You know what I'm saying? Part of the aristocracy. But yet they were still broken, evil, manipulative, charlatans in a lot of ways. They used high-level spiritual jargon, but yet they were incongruent. And the rest of the world started to look at them and say, you claim freedom, you claim liberty, you're claiming all of this, but you got slaves. You guys look stupid. Those are human beings, you know. Like the rest of the world was like, the folk y'all got in slavery, those are humans. So you got people who act refined, but be toxic than a motherfucker. Krishnamurti's word for them was shoddy little people. You're just a shoddy little person. Shoddy is a terrible word to call them. You're a shoddy little person. Man, Herschel done showed up at the end of the show. We appreciate you, good brother. Thank you, Herschel. Thank you, brother Herschel. Everybody say what's up to the good brother Herschel. Let me tell you now. I was a funky little kid, man.
Activate your shame wound. Narcissists themselves have a shame wound. They don't want to admit it. They project it and fling it onto their significant other. Let's say it's Christmas where there's an exchange of gifts. They know what you want. They know what would make you happy, and they will purposely get you something that is so irrelevant, that shows such little care, that can be a shock to you. And if that's not enough, they will then give what you would have liked to somebody else.
Oh, wow.
It accuse you of being selfish and jealous. And what they're hoping, not only do you feel less than by their lack of interest, you will feel as if there's something wrong with you, because they are capable of doing that for everyone but you. When they see your shame, then they feel as if that wiped their shame clean. And so they will do anything and everything in their power to provoke shame.
My goodness. The covert shame whisperer. Coming from the moral high ground as if they've conquered themselves. It's rare. Happens a lot in relationships, what I'm saying. Somebody conquering themselves completely is rare. So they're in no position to shame you. Have you dated that person? We got JW from South Central Los Angeles. I want to get his final thought right here and now. J-Dub?
Your comment was how I come to that point.
Yes.
Well, it took time. I call it process because, like I mentioned in the past, high school and young adult, I used to gravitate to the homies, whatever it is. So I would equate that to society or wherever your proximity is in terms of your neighborhood, the people you're intervening with. And whatever they would say, you would think that would be a norm or something cool, hip and slick, and you think that has some value, but it's false value because you think you're doing something that is, above or great. but it's not great. It's wrong and it's crooked. And I got tired of putting myself in a position where I was out of character doing something that went against the grain. And it took time, and it was a process, but yeah, there have been a couple of individuals where I knew I was having a hidden agenda, and I was being foul or wrong or crafty. Not clever, I was being slick. You follow my point?
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's how that went. But right now, let me expose myself this little bit. That's all right. I don't have
No,
much time.
go ahead. You got time. I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, let me expose myself just a little bit more. Right now, I'm at a point where I'm actually crying out. This is why I called in and talk and expose myself. I see myself now where I'm reaching for low fruit when I know I should reach for higher fruit, which I know takes work, and I'm going through that process, which is slow, laborious process, or tedious, or something I'm not really applying myself with because of my nature as an Aquarius. I procrastinate and I'm absent-minded, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just stating facts about what I have learned about myself over time. But the point is, I'm not completing the process, and so that's what I'm crying out about.
What do you think?
Go ahead.
But what do you think is preventing you from completing the process? Is it just you're being stubborn, or is there something you really don't want to address?
That part right there. I really believe over the years that I am just mentally lazy.
Why do you say that?
Because, like I shared with you once before, I'm a self-taught reader. I'm 69 years old. I don't spell well, and I can't write. But I've been able to survive and function throughout this society all my adult life. There's nothing to brag about.
No, I'm listening. Yes.
I used to have thoughts when I was younger about, well, maybe I'll go to college and complete some courses at an older age and have a big accomplishment. Well, that never took place. But the point is, that's why I believe I'm mentally lazy, or something is handicapping me. I'm not certain what it is. That's why I always ask you about, well, what if you don't know, or you're not aware, or you're not conscious that you're sick, or you're thinking this way because of you're oblivious, and or this not knowing.
But JW, let me just say this, man. You're probably one of the realest callers we've ever had on here, because you are really revealing, some personal stuff about yourself, and I applaud you and I respect you. You are still my elder, and I respect you tremendously for being so transparent and so vulnerable. But if I may, brother, every day you wake up is an opportunity for you to heal up, for you to grow up, for you to expand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, and I rebuke what you said about being intellectually lazy. Because you call into this show, you're drawn to this show. This show is framed in a certain way that it attracts a certain type of listener, and you're one of them. You understand what I'm talking about, brother. I think you don't give yourself enough credit. I think I'm listening to you negatively, talk to yourself and reinforce some of these, negative beliefs you have about yourself. And I think, I think if you really wanted to, you could shift your perspective and actually accomplish everything you set out to do. It's not too late, because you wake up every day.
I agree with you 100%. That's why I always use the word process, because I know When the timing is right, I'm really going to continue to pursue and grow because I always have.
Wait. Let me check. Let me stop you.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Let me stop you. The time is now. See, do you see? But listen to what I'm saying. The way you're framing it, you know, when the timing is right, that is a covert excuse. That is a couched excuse. Well, the time got to be right. These are some of the excuses you've been telling yourself for years. So you got to break the pattern of that thought process that says, I got to wait for the right time to invest in me.
Sabotaging myself. I'm sorry.
Already. I'm not finna let you do it.
I'm listening to you, bro. I'm all ears.
All right? So it's tomorrow. I'm going to do one thing, even if it's just one thing. When I wake up, if I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to do one thing towards a goal that I set tonight. How about that?
Got it.
Can we do that?
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Guess what you just did, my friend?
Hey, my brother, about South Central into the house, man. Be blessed, man.
Yes, sir. South Central is in the building. That was my brother, JW. Play his music on the way out, man. We love J-Dub.
Got you confused? Need some straight talk? This is where you get the unfiltered truth
Trying.
of love, relationships, and everything in between. He breaks down relationship dynamics with no-nonsense wisdom and practical advice that actually works. Tackling the questions you're afraid to ask and giving you the answers.
The Price is Right beat. Be killing me. That's the record.
Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. Are you tired of staying, stealing your shine? California Cleaners is where you go to rescue your wardrobe. They don't just clean, they elevate. Hand washing, crisp laundry, and precise alterations, all while keeping your wallet happy. Listen, all you gotta do is connect with them in the beautiful city of Inglewood. Whether it's grass-stained jeans, silk that's seen better days, or a hemline emergency before date night, you're on deck with California Cleaners, located at 1326 North La Brea Avenue, Inglewood, California.
Ready to order.
You hate when what happened? Oh, when you order food? Yeah. I don't think it's just Taurians. I think it's women. Like, y'all don't play with that food. Oh, man, we could just eat. We could eat 2 of them McDonald's cheeseburgers. You know, just regular cheese, not even the Big Mac. Them 2 cheeseburgers with the pickles and the onions on it. We could mash that out. And be good. Women. Why is it that you guys can get all the way home and look in that bag and find something missing and call them people? Or call them people on your way back to them? I don't like it.
beautiful and exotic women of the world. Welcome back to another video. Today I want to touch on why people like to test and try beautiful exotic women. It is almost like a sport for insecure, jealous people, especially insecure, jealous women, when it comes to taking beautiful exotic women down a peg. They tend to do things to test your boundaries, and they do this because they, one, like the idea of playing in your face, quite frankly, but they also want to see what your thresholds are. They want to see how much you can take, how much you're willing to put up with, what you will and will not tolerate. And it's all just to put some feelers out there to see the type of person you are, and it's ultimately to test how much you love yourself and how much you're willing to protect and stand up for yourself. If you are an exotical and you were bullied as a child or mistreated as a child, you understand completely what I'm talking about. Your boundaries and standards are being tried the day you were born. As soon as you have autonomy over yourself in any capacity and you choose to let it be known the things that you will and will not tolerate, whether it's in school or in any other type of social setting, amongst family, amongst friends, whatever the case may be, there will be someone within that crowd or multiple people who will, for shits and giggles and just for their own pure entertainment, push those boundaries to get you out of character and to just, again, see how far they can get.
Hey, listen, I have, what is she? My niece is Generation Z, I think. What is that? What's after the millennials? Is it Z? Is it Y? Elemental P? I don't, listen. The young folk, so my niece, right, picks all of the videos. Nah, niece, you not a millennial. Nope. I'm not Gen Z. Hey, she's in the chat right now. She's picking these videos. She knows they're going to trigger me. A beautiful, exotic woman that is subject to being manipulated. Oh, God. It's real. But I love her clip selections because it shows a wide array of toxicity out here in the world. And this is why we craft the topics in the way that we do. Tonight's topic was about the covert shamer. Someone, of course, who hasn't done any self-work, so they project onto you. Is it Gen Z?
Z is after millennials. Millennials are Gen Y.
So when does Gen Z start?
1995.
It starts at 95.
Yes. Or
Andy is getting us the facts.
1981 to 1996 is millennials.
1981 to 1996 is a millennial.
But I don't know why they have Gen Z starting at 95 to 2012.
Okay, so she is a millennial. Well, my clinician friends always tell me that the millennials are nuts. He get everybody after him. That's the start of the whole apple cart.
We changed the game, homie.
Now Andy claiming it. We changed the game, homie. He's like, anyway, relationships are evolving. They are changing. But the spiritual work must be done. And I don't understand why there's this aversion to it. Right? If you could see it, this is why I try to outline step by step, point by point, right? And give you book references like Ross Rosenberg's book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, Why Hurt People, like Krishnamurti's book, Education and the Significance of Life, or Krishnamurti's book, The Mirror of Relationships. I try to give you these resources so you can see what the clinical, the psychological, and the spiritual concepts are around the purpose of relating. Again, our society thinks The purpose of relating is about getting. No, it's really about healing yourself. It's really about enrolling into the University of You, right? And getting comfortable with being psychologically nude. But that's not going to happen until you start to figure out, like, man, I might need therapy. Whoa, what's my attachment style? Oh, it's insecure. One of the 3 insecure. Oh, wow, I got some stuff to do. You start to dig into the insecure attachment styles. You find out that all the attachment styles, the insecure ones, can be rewritten. They're not static. They don't stay that way your whole life. But then you start to dig a little deeper. Carl Jung, people do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid looking at their own soul. So now you see this internal resistance. Oh, wow, the wound is now now enmeshed in my ego. So now I can't get rid of the wound because it's a part of my sense of self. Do you see how all of these layers to relationships are way more complicated? You hear people saying stuff like, relations ain't complicated. Love ain't hard. Love should be easy. What? Huh? Are you nuts? How you gonna have intergenerational trauma and the thought process that love is easy? Relationships are simple. Wrong. If you got, and now with the new research of epigenetics, if you got multiple men in your family that are accustomed to beating their wives, you think that ain't in your genes somewhere? You think that generational curriculum hasn't been passed down? I'm just saying. Y'all gotta, man, listen, as is commonplace, I start the conversation. It's really up to you to finish it. The Voice of Reason will be back in here tomorrow, Juneteenth. Happy anniversary, KBLA. I'll be back in here Juneteenth. You know how I does? With another slapper to end the week. I appreciate everybody for tapping in and tuning in. Zoe Williams, Voice of Reason. We out. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. The Voice of Reason. Ghost. Holla back.